During my termination meeting, he smirked and said, "We can get 3 junior engineers for your salary. It's not about you, it's simply a matter of trimming expenses." Allow me to introduce myself. I am Marcus Hale, a seasoned 55-year-old who has dedicated the last 18 years of my life as the lead systems engineer at Veltria Housing. I had constructed their entire infrastructure from the ground up, designed each expansion meticulously, and maintained such seamless operations that the executives became oblivious to the extent of their reliance on me, until they came to the conclusion that my services were beyond their means. I found myself seated opposite Nathan Vickers, the newly appointed Chief Technology Officer, who had only just completed 6 months with the company. At the age of 42, he sported designer glasses and held an MBA from Cornell. He had been tasked with the mission of modernizing operations, a move that it seemed prioritized the dismissal of the most seasoned staff members right from the start. "The severance package is generous," Laura from Human Resources remarked, as she slid a folder across the table. 2 months' worth of salary, along with the vacation time you've accumulated." I nodded, accepted the folder, and expressed my gratitude with a simple "thank you." "Is that truly everything you wish to express?" Nathan's expression was tinged with a hint of disappointment. Perhaps he had anticipated that I would dispute his claims or resort to legal threats. Provide him with a narrative to share with the board regarding the challenges I presented. "What is it that you would like me to express?" Many individuals in your situation often find themselves grappling with questions and concerns. I simply shrugged my shoulders. It appears quite clear to me. Nathan cast a sidelong glance at Laura, who mirrored his confusion at my serene demeanor. What they failed to grasp was that I was far from calm. I had reached my limit. There exists a distinction. Nathan continued expressing their gratitude. "We would truly appreciate your assistance with the transition. The new engineering team finds itself at the crossroads of innovation, seeking guidance on the intricate tapestry of the system architecture. What if we considered a consulting arrangement for a few weeks?" "I'll consider it," I replied, fully aware that I wouldn't. Our hands met in a firm shake. With a quiet resolve, I emptied my desk, leaving no room for dissent. A single cardboard box holds the weight of 18 years of labor. I offered a nod of farewell to several colleagues, their gazes shifting uncomfortably, as if they feared the same destiny loomed for them. While I made my way to my truck nestled in the parking garage, my phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. A message from Kevin, the database administrator I brought on board 12 years back. "This is utterly ridiculous, Vic. The entire team is in a state of panic." Silence enveloped my thoughts, and I chose not to reply. At home, I found myself on my deck, gazing out at Lake Ontario, a glass of bourbon cradled in my hand, as the sunset transformed the water into a canvas of copper hues. Rachel, my wife, gently rested her hand on my shoulder. "What will you choose to do next?" I simply shrugged. "Something is bound to emerge." What Nathan remained oblivious to what he had failed to discover was that I hadn't merely constructed their systems. In the midst of my work, I found myself custom coding extensive sections armed with little more than my own ingenuity and scant documentation. The company, steadfast in its decision, had consistently turned down requests for a dedicated documentation team. Only I grasped the profound redundancies, the concealed security layers, the complex web of network architecture. I had no intention of explaining it to anyone at this moment. My journey at Veltria Housing began when it was known as Bayview Properties. Once upon a time, there existed a modest real estate management firm overseeing 4 charming apartment complexes and employing a dedicated team of a dozen individuals. In the heart of their operations lay a modest IT infrastructure comprising merely 2 desktop computers, a fax machine, and the slow embrace of a dial-up internet connection. Leonard Bayview, the owner, brought me on board from a consulting position in Syracuse. He shared with me that we are expanding. We are in search of an individual capable of constructing something robust and enduring. Throughout the span of 18 years, I transformed that basic setup into a comprehensive property management system, adeptly managing everything from tenant applications and background checks to automated maintenance requests and rent collection, all across 63 properties in 4 states. Piece by piece, I crafted it, adapting and upgrading, refining it as the company evolved. 5 years have passed since Leonard hung up his hat, a moment marked by his son Eric's decision to sell the family business to a private equity firm, which then transformed it into Veltria Housing. They decided to retain me, taken by the accomplishments I had achieved. Yet, a shift was on the horizon. With the arrival of new executives comes a shift in priorities. The emphasis on quarterly targets overshadowed the significance of long-term stability. The warning signs crept in slowly, almost imperceptibly. Initially, my proposal for a documentation team was met with rejection. They claimed it was too expensive. We shall address it in the upcoming quarter. That quarter never arrived. It was then that the consultants began to arrive. Ambitious young MBA professionals engaged in discussions about transforming property management and harnessing the power of cloud solutions. They would listen to my detailed explanations of our system architecture, their eyes glazing over, only to suggest off-the-shelf solutions that would clash with our custom infrastructure. I continued to resist articulating the reasons their method was flawed, revealing the bespoke code that set our system apart. In time, the invitations to the planning meetings ceased to arrive in my inbox. It was Rachel who caught sight of it before I ever did. "They're pushing you out," she remarked one evening as we sat around the dinner table. "Preparation is essential," I dismissed her with a wave of my hand. "They require my presence. Only a few truly grasp the intricate workings of the entire system." "That could very well be the issue," she responded. Half a year prior, Nathan was brought on board as the new Chief Technology Officer. He hailed from a banking software company, and without missing a beat, he launched into a discussion about standardization and the need for replacing legacy systems. 3 junior engineers just out of college were brought on board. They followed my lead, eager to learn their questions about the system flowing like a stream of curiosity. I responded to their inquiries, yet I sensed they were missing the intricacies of the matter. How could they possibly? Years had slipped by as I meticulously constructed those systems, delving into the intricate web of interdependencies and crafting the redundancies that ensured everything operated seamlessly in the face of challenges. Last week, Nathan made a visit to my office. He mentioned a quick meeting tomorrow morning, his tone nonchalant, merely a quarterly check-in. It was something I should have anticipated. 2 weeks had passed since my termination when the first call arrived. As I sat in my home office diligently updating my resume, the sudden ring of my phone broke the silence. Nathan Vickers. I allowed it to slip into the realm of voicemail. "Marcus, this is Nathan speaking. We are currently facing some challenges with the tenant portal. The junior team is diligently tackling the task at hand, yet they find themselves grappling with certain aspects of your code architecture. Would you be so kind as to return our call?" A brief consultation is all that's needed. With a decisive click, I erased the message and redirected my focus to my resume once more. On that day, 3 additional calls arrived, each voicemail echoing with a growing sense of urgency. As the evening settled in, Kevin sent me a text. "The system has been down for the entire day. The processing of maintenance requests has come to a halt. Nathan is unraveling." As dawn broke, Laura from HR made the call. "Marcus, I trust this message finds you in good spirits. I'm reaching out to explore the possibility of establishing a consulting arrangement. Merely a stopgap measure intended to address some ongoing system challenges. The compensation would indeed be quite generous." As I reached for my phone, my fingers brushed against its cool surface. What a display of generosity, $300 for each hour with a minimum commitment of 4 hours. I said I'd think about it and get back to you. Then I hung up. As I settled into my kitchen chair, my gaze drifted out toward the shimmering lake. Rachel set a steaming cup of coffee before me. "What thoughts are crossing your mind? It seems they are uncovering the true value I hold." In the span of 3 days, the calls began to swell in number. Nathan, Laura, and even Eric Bayview, who remained on the board. The tenant portal experienced an outage. Errors were being thrown by the maintenance scheduling system. In a twist of fate, the automatic payment processing stumbled, casting a shadow over thousands of residents. I chose not to reply to any of them. As the sun rose on the 4th day, An email made its way into the inbox from Devlin Systems, a rival in the regional landscape of Veltria. They had a smaller portfolio of properties, yet their growth was swift and impressive. The email came directly from Samuel Devlin, the Director of Technology. "Marcus, I came across some news regarding your circumstances at Veltria. From a distance, we have long held a deep admiration for your work. Would you care to explore potential opportunities with us? We are embarking on a journey to enhance our entire property management infrastructure." I responded and arranged a meeting for the next day. As the sun dipped below the horizon that evening, Rachel and I busied ourselves in the kitchen, the aroma of dinner wafting through the air, when suddenly the doorbell chimed, breaking the tranquil moment. Nathan Vickers stood on my porch, his designer glasses perched at a crooked angle. His suit, usually pristine, bore the marks of disarray. "Marcus, I must apologize for my unexpected arrival, but we find ourselves in an urgent predicament. The whole system has come to a halt. Everything seems to be falling apart. The team finds themselves at a loss, unable to discern the issue or the path to resolution." I rested my weight against the doorframe. "That seems quite serious." "Indeed it is. Your assistance is required. The board has granted me the authority to extend to you a significant consulting fee, $500 for each hour that passes, by any means necessary." The cardboard box in my garage lingered in my thoughts. Years of toil and dedication now distilled into mere tokens of memory. I found myself contemplating. It's not about you, it's simply a matter of reducing expenses. As I reflected on the documentation team, I couldn't help but recall how they had never received the approval they sought. With a gentle tone, I expressed my sympathy. "I'm sorry to hear about your troubles. However, I have an interview scheduled for tomorrow. Something will indeed turn up, just as I had anticipated." I shut the door, leaving his bewildered expression behind, and returned to the task of preparing dinner. For the first time since my termination, a sense of peace enveloped me. Neither satisfaction nor vindication, only clarity remains. I had no intention of aiding them in mending what they had shattered. The interview with Samuel Devlin unfolded in a manner that surpassed all expectations. In the heart of downtown Rochester, we found ourselves at a cozy coffee shop, a neutral ground far removed from the bustling offices of our respective companies. "I've followed your work for years," Samuel said, stirring his coffee. "The integrated property management system you crafted at Veltria has become the stuff of legends in our industry. No one else possesses anything even remotely similar." I expressed my gratitude, saying, "Thank you." Time was required. What I wish to discuss is time. We aim to create something akin to this, yet we prefer not to begin from the ground up. We seek an individual who comprehends the architecture, the integration points, and the layers of security. We seek an individual capable of crafting something superior to what currently exists. I find this intriguing. Samuel wore a smile. "Excellent news. I am ready to extend to you the opportunity to take on the role of Chief Systems Architect, comprehensive benefits, stock options, and a salary that exceeds your previous earnings at Veltria by 20%. It was an enticing proposition. Almost too good. "Why am I the one chosen for this?" I inquired. "Younger engineers are available and they come at a lower cost." With a hearty chuckle, Samuel found amusement in the moment. "Your voice echoes that of your previous employer. We ventured down that path. 3 bright young engineers from top schools were hired. They crafted a design that is both sleek and modern, yet it falters and crashes whenever we exceed 100 simultaneous users. We seek quality, not cheapness. Reliability is essential." The following day, I found myself accepting the offer. At the same time, Veltria found herself facing mounting challenges. Kevin sent me occasional texts to keep me in the loop. Though the system had seen a measure of restoration, it remained plagued by the failure of critical functions. They had enlisted the services of a high-priced consulting firm renowned for its expertise in the recovery of legacy systems. A week had passed since I began my journey at Devlin when Nathan reached out once more. "Marcus, I implore you, this situation is becoming increasingly grave. Access to payment records for the past 3 months has been lost. Complaints have arisen among tenants regarding erroneous charges. The consulting team has reached out seeking your insights on the database structure. Though I felt the urge to dismiss it, an inexplicable force compelled me to answer. Nathan, I have taken up a position elsewhere now. Contract of exclusivity. Regrettably, I find myself unable to assist you. For just 2 days of your time, we'll match whatever they're offering you, doubling it in the process. It's never been about the money. So what is it really about retribution? Do you find pleasure in observing our struggles? As I took a moment to reflect, I weighed my response with great thought. Nathan, I must confess this isn't bringing me any joy. Yet you arrived at a decision for the business. You concluded that my experience held no value against the price. Now you are uncovering the true essence of what that really signifies. The board is eager to have a conversation about the possibility of your return, a complete salary along with a signing bonus. In that fleeting instant, a spark of satisfaction ignited within me, only to be extinguished almost immediately. Returning to the past would yield no solutions. The very executives who deemed me expendable would soon be poised for the next chance to trim expenses. Thank you for the offer, but I have already committed myself to Devlin Systems. Nathan's voice took on a steely edge. It's important to consider that there might be legal consequences if we find out you deliberately complicated the maintenance of our systems. Non-compete clauses weave a complex tapestry of legal stipulations, concerns regarding intellectual property. There it stood, a presence unmistakable, the danger I had anticipated. The system remains unchanged just as it was when the company consistently turned down my pleas for a documentation team. I responded with calm assurance. All lines of code are the property of Veltria as outlined in my employment agreement. With nothing but my experience in tow, I invite you to have your lawyers reach out to mine. I ended the call, my hands trembling ever so slightly, not from fear, but from a simmering anger I had kept at bay until this moment. The claim that I had in some way undermined them was the ultimate affront. At Devlin, I found myself embarking on a new journey, constructing systems meticulously from the foundation, complete with thorough documentation training initiatives for the engineering team and safeguards designed to avert the sort of disaster Veltria was facing. I had made up my mind there would be no looking back from here on out. Yet I had no intention of offering them any assistance either. Certain lessons were destined to be learned through difficult experiences. A month into my journey at Devlin Systems, an unexpected visitor graced my new office. Kevin, once my database administrator, lingered hesitantly in the doorway, clutching a laptop bag in his hands. "Do you have a moment to grab some lunch?" he inquired. As we sat over sandwiches at a nearby deli, Kevin recounted the tumultuous events unfolding at Veltria. "It's worse than you think," he murmured, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper amid the clamor of the bustling lunchtime crowd. Access to historical data spanning the past 3 years has been lost. Somehow the backup systems have become corrupted. The consulting firm has indicated that a complete rebuild from the ground up may be necessary. I found no surprise in it. The backup system was designed with a web of redundancies and security protocols, each one demanding precise adherence. Omitting a single step could lead to a complete breakdown of the process meticulously crafted to safeguard tenant data from any unauthorized access. "There's more to the story," Kevin pressed on. In my quest to assist the consultants in grasping the intricacies of the payment processing system, I stumbled upon something intriguing. For months, Nathan had been meticulously plotting your termination. He had been engaging with the board, persuading them that the custom infrastructure you had developed was far too costly to sustain. What leads you to this knowledge? Kevin retrieved his laptop and revealed to me a collection of emails he had unearthed within the system archives. Correspondence exchange between Nathan and the board reveals discussions surrounding the legacy staff reduction plan, with particular emphasis on my designation as the initial target. Kevin recounted how he had been told that they could easily substitute you with less expensive engineers and shift to ready-made solutions in just 6 months. He envisioned cost savings exceeding $1 million each year. As I sifted through the emails, an odd sense of detachment washed over me. A particular line from Nathan resonated deeply. The systems crafted by Hale are laden with unnecessary complexity. He has crafted his own indispensability through careful design rather than mere necessity. There's more, Kevin said. In a strategic move, the private equity firm that holds Veltria is gearing up for a sale. For more than a year, they have been diligently preparing for this moment. Nathan arrived with a clear mission to trim expenses and enhance the company's profitability in preparation for the impending sale. At last, everything fell into place. Amidst the drive for uniformity, there lies a reluctance to embrace thorough documentation, accompanied by an abrupt emphasis on cutting expenses related to senior personnel. The focus was not on enhancing the company, it was all about giving it a stylish makeover for a swift turnaround. "What is the reason for presenting this to me?" I inquired. With a decisive motion, Kevin shut his laptop, the screen fading to black as he leaned back in his chair, a moment of silence enveloping him. "Yesterday marked my departure, and I am certainly not alone in this decision. Half of the IT department has departed. The consultants anticipate that it will take a minimum of 6 months to fully restore functionality, and it could potentially take even longer." He paused, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. With Veltria's largest client, Westbrook Properties, contemplating a departure, their trust in the management system has begun to wane. As I pondered the ramifications, a sense of gravity settled over me. Westbrook accounted for almost 30% of Veltria's revenue. The thought of losing them sends a chill down the spine, particularly with a sale hanging in the beacons. "What are your next steps?" I inquired. With a broad grin, Kevin's expression lit up the room. In truth, I found myself wishing that Devlin would be on the lookout for database administrators. As the afternoon sun began to dip, I found myself in conversation with Samuel regarding the prospect of bringing Kevin into the fold. Without hesitation, he nodded in agreement. We were assembling a team piece by piece with individuals who grasped the essence of crafting enduring systems. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I found myself answering yet another call from Nathan. This time, his voice no longer carried that commanding tone. "Marcus, if you would be so kind. The circumstances are dire. Westbrook is poised to end their contract. The board is casting doubt on my choices. Your assistance is required." "I apologize, Nathan. I'm afraid I can't assist you. State your price, whatever it may be. It transcends mere cost. It revolves around honoring the journey, acknowledging the effort that is poured into crafting something correctly from the outset." For a brief moment, the line hung in silence. "Did you foresee this unfolding?" At last he spoke. "Did you possess the foresight to know precisely what would shatter and at what moment absolutely not, Nathan?" I was acutely aware of the foundation I had laid and the effort required to keep it standing strong, information I endeavored to share on numerous occasions. The call concluded, leaving me in a state devoid of both triumph and regret. There exists a quiet certainty that certain lessons can only be grasped through the experience of failure. The opportunity arrived more swiftly than I had anticipated. 2 months into my journey at Devlin Systems, Samuel summoned me to his office. I had just finished a conversation with Jeffrey Westbrook, the CEO of Westbrook Properties, he mentioned. Next month, they will officially bring their contract with Veltria to an end. They are curious to see if we are capable of managing their portfolio. Westbrook Properties oversaw more than 10,000 units throughout the Northeast. It would more than double the current operations of Devlin. I confessed that we weren't prepared for such a scale. The new system is progressing, yet it remains only halfway complete. Samuel inclined his body, drawing closer. What would it require for us to prepare should the need arise? As I pondered the matter. A trio of seasoned engineers committed to server infrastructure, alongside a minimum of 8 weeks devoted to development efforts. Even so, it would be a close call. In a moment of sheer desperation, Jeffrey finds himself at a crossroads. Veltria's missteps are casting a shadow over their standing with tenants. He is prepared to offer us a span of 12 weeks and finance the expansion of the infrastructure. This was the moment that changed everything. It was the moment everything changed. Should Devlin confront Westbrook and emerge Marcusius, it would firmly position us as a formidable contender in the industry. Should we falter, it might spell disaster for both companies. I paused to contemplate the architecture, I said. By tomorrow, I will have a plan ready for you. That night, sleep eluded me. In the midst of my work, I meticulously sketched out system diagrams, charted the intricate pathways of data migration, and pondered the challenges of scaling that lay ahead. As dawn broke, a plan had begun to take shape in my mind, driven yet within reach. A hybrid approach that allows for the gradual onboarding of Westbrook's properties, ensuring minimal disruption along the way. As I laid it before Samuel, he examined it with great care. "This is solid," he said at last. "However, I observe that you have incorporated a significant documentation phase. That extends the timeline by 3 weeks. "It is non-negotiable," I responded. It was in that moment that Veltria faltered. From the very first day, we meticulously record every detail. We guide the team through each component, ensuring they grasp every detail. There are no singular vulnerabilities. Samuel gave a slight nod. "I'll trust your judgment on that. Let us proceed onward." The following weeks unfolded with an intensity that was palpable. We brought on 5 additional engineers, among them 2 who had recently departed from Veltria. In a moment of inspiration, Alan crafted a database migration tool, one that possessed the remarkable ability to translate Veltria's intricate data structure into the framework of our new system. I crafted a modular architecture, one that would adapt and grow alongside Westbrook's evolving needs. As I reached the midpoint of the project, an email arrived from Eric Bayview, the son of the former owner, who continued to hold a position on Veltria's board. "Marcus, I feel the need to express my sincerest apologies for the way everything concluded. The board was given a distorted view of what it would mean to part ways with you. Nathan has stepped down from his role as CTO. Our journey to recovery is proving to be a challenge, and the loss of Westbrook will undoubtedly take a significant toll on us. The door remains open should you ever feel the pull to return." I chose not to respond. As we approached the 10th week of our 12-week timeline, the moment for a staged rollout had finally arrived. In the western reaches of New York, the smallest region of Westbrook with its 2,000 units would be the first to embark on this migration. Should this endeavor prove fruitful, the other regions would inevitably follow suit. On the eve of the migration, Samuel summoned me to his office once more. A well-known figure stood in anticipation. It was none other than Jeffrey Westbrook himself. "Ah, so you hold the title of system architect, do you? It's a pleasure to meet you," Jeffrey remarked, rising to extend his hand for a shake. "Samuel has shared quite a bit about you with me. I trust all is well with you." With a gentle curve of his lips, Jeffrey smiled. "He claims that you've created a system that remains robust even as we incorporate additional properties. A thing that will evolve alongside us. The plan is set in motion. I've heard that you once had a position at Veltria." I nodded, a sense of uncertainty washing over me as I pondered his direction. They find themselves in quite a predicament, you see. As the private equity firm seeks to sell, they find themselves in a challenging position. With Westbrook's departure, and their system still not fully operational, the pool of interested buyers remains disappointingly shallow. He came to a halt, all but one. "Who might that be?" I inquired, even as I harbored a suspicion about what the response would be. Samuel mentioned that Devlin Systems were contemplating an offer significantly lower than their valuation from 6 months prior. I glanced between them, absorbing the weight of what it all meant. "If that happens," Jeffrey continued, "we'd want someone who understands both companies to lead the integration. We need a person who can salvage what's valuable from Veltria's infrastructure while smoothly transitioning everything to your new architecture. Are you inquiring whether I would be open to collaborating on that?" I provided clarification. Samuel gave a slight nod. "It will happen solely if the acquisition is successful, only if it feels right for you." As I pondered the irony, a sense of reflection washed over me. the system I had constructed. The individuals I had prepared, the company that had cast me aside, all may soon return under my guidance. I would be open to that. At long last I spoke. However, there is one stipulation I must present. We ensure it's done correctly, comprehensive documentation, thorough preparation. There are no shortcuts, agreed, Samuel said. That lesson has been learned. As I strolled back to my office, a sense of vindication eluded me. There is no longing for retribution. The quiet fulfillment that comes from the understanding that quality work executed with care ultimately makes its own voice heard. Half a year had passed, and there I was positioned in the lobby of what had once been the heart of Veltria Housing's operations. The sign now proclaimed Devlin Integrated Property Management. The acquisition was completed for a mere fraction of the company's previous valuation before I left. As Samuel and I strolled through the office, we exchanged greetings with the former Veltria employees who would remain with us during this period of transition. Some averted their gazes, caught in a moment of discomfort. Relief washed over the faces of others, their smiles breaking through the tension. A handful of individuals, those who had shared the journey with me through the years, offered subtle nods of quiet understanding. With Nathan's departure, the majority of the executive team that had sanctioned my termination vanished as well. Eric Bayview remained on as a consultant, guiding the transition with legacy clients with a steady hand. As we arrived at the server room, a place I once called my own, I took a moment to reflect. Through the glass, my gaze fell upon the hardware I had meticulously specified, the blinking lights of systems I had meticulously crafted. Care to step inside? Samuel inquired. I declined, I said. We are set to migrate everything to the new infrastructure regardless. In the main conference room, the remaining Veltria staff congregated, anticipation hanging in the air as they prepared for the announcement. Samuel presented me as the Chief Integration Officer, tasked with overseeing the technical transition. Many of you are already familiar with Marcus, he remarked. He was the architect of the original systems that sustained this company for almost 20 years. He will now lead us on a journey to weave together the technologies of both companies, crafting something superior to what either could achieve alone. Gazing out at the faces before me, a mix of the familiar and the unfamiliar, I found no sense of triumph nor any urge to proclaim "I told you so." What could possibly be the purpose? Instead, I shared a few words about the transition plan, outlining the timeline and the support that would be accessible to everyone throughout the process. I made it clear that everyone would be included regardless of any cost-cutting measures in place. In that moment, the irony hung thick in the air, palpable to all present. Just a year following the acquisition, Devlin Integrated Property Management emerged as the preeminent property management company in the Northeast. With the migration now complete, every property was seamlessly operating on the new system I had crafted, thoroughly documented, adequately staffed, and operating seamlessly. As the chill of autumn hung in the air, I made my way to the office, anticipating a final meeting with Samuel. The leaves that adorned the shores of Lake Ontario had transformed into a stunning tapestry of red and gold hues, a perfect setting for the closing of this chapter. The board approved your proposal. Samuel said, the words spilling out as soon as I took my seat. Next quarter, the Technical Education Division is set to launch. You will have complete freedom to craft the curriculum and select the instructors. This was the stipulation I had set for my continued presence once the integration reached its conclusion. It's not about a lofty title or a fatter paycheck. It's about establishing a division focused on nurturing the future wave of systems engineers and architects, instructing them not merely in the art of coding, but in the craft of creating enduring creations. I expressed my gratitude, saying thank you. That holds significant value. No thank you, Samuel replied. The creation you've brought to life is truly remarkable. It's not merely the technology itself, it's the culture that envelops it. The documentation, the sharing of knowledge, the focus on quality rather than quick fixes. As the afternoon sun began to wane, I found myself tidying up my integration office. In stark contrast to my abrupt departure from Veltria, this moment marked a carefully orchestrated shift into my new role. While I was gathering my belongings, there came a knock at the door. Eric Bayview stood on the other side. "Do you have a moment to spare?" he inquired. As we strolled towards the quaint courtyard nestled just beyond the building, a sense of anticipation filled the air. "He mentioned you when he asked about me, my father did. Now enjoying his retirement in Florida, he remains attentive to the happenings of the company. He felt a sense of relief upon learning that you had returned, in a way." "How is Leonard faring these days?" I inquired. "Things are going well, spending plenty of time fishing." Eric came to a halt. He often remarked that allowing you to leave would be the gravest error this company could ever commit. It appears he was indeed correct. I nodded, a wave of uncertainty washing over me, leaving my words unspoken. From all this I learned something. Eric continued. "Value often remains hidden until it slips away." As I navigated the winding road by the lakeshore, my mind wandered to the essence of value, reflecting on the richness of experience, the importance of care, and the significance of getting things right from the very start. In the realm of enduring systems, we find the stories of those who dedicate themselves to their creation. Revenge had not been my pursuit. I found no necessity for it. I had taken a step ahead, crafting something greater, a concept that transcends the fleeting nature of individual choices and the limitations of short-term perspectives. At times, the most powerful way to address feelings of being undervalued is to demonstrate your true worth in a different arena and allow the outcomes to tell their own story.